Hello and welcome to Narayana IS. I'm Pratik, your faculty for daily news analysis. Students, in today's DNA session, we shall be focusing on four most important topics from the Hindu and the Indian Express. All the topics that we have selected for today are very interesting, at the same time highly relevant and important for the UPSC examination. So let's get started with today's DNA with a beautiful motivational quote. And what is today's quote? Where there is no struggle, there is no strength. This highlights the importance of having struggle in everyone's life. Struggle is very important. Why? Because only in struggle your strength flourishes, your strength comes out. So only in times of adversity, difficulties, struggle, the strength comes out. People realize the hidden strength that they have. And that's the reason struggle is an essential element in everyone's life. So don't be afraid of struggle, embrace struggle, unwind your potential and achieve success. Right? So again, for all those who want to serve the society, Narayana IS has come up with a 1 year and 2 year integrated, that is prelims cum mains integrated course, right? So all those students who are interested to be a part of this course can scan the QR code, right, appearing on your screen, right? So these are the additional features of our course, right? The focus will be on comprehensive coverage of prelims, mains. The USP of our program is that every weekend there will be tests, prelims as well as mains. So appearing so many tests will help an aspirant, right, to ace in the examination. He'll be so used to the tests that when he gives the UPSC mains examination, final examination, that test will be just another test for him. There will be no exam pressure. Why? Because this is how we train our aspirants. Right? So, which are the topics for the day? So, we have selected 7 topics, right? These are the 4 topics, and 6th, 7th or 5th, 6th and 7th topic. These are the topics that we have already covered, right? The link of the remaining 3 topics will be available in the comments section, right? So, which is the first topic? The first topic is time to seize the promise of the US-India nuclear deal. The focus will be on India-US nuclear deal. We'll understand what exactly is India-US civil nuclear deal. We'll understand the benefits for India. Then we'll understand the challenges associated with this deal, followed by the way forward. The second article we have taken from Hindu page number 1. Now here the US has declared, or the new president of America has decided to end the birthright citizenship. So we'll understand what exactly is this term, birthright citizenship, right? And then we'll understand the principles associated with the citizenship. Then we'll understand the constitutional provisions uh, related to citizenship in our country, right? Next, why or what is the impact, or rather effect, of the US withdrawal from World Health Organization and the Paris Climate Agreement. Fourth article talks about the demand from the state of Telangana so that Telangana can use more water or large volume of water from the Krishna river basin. So this is the demand that the government of Telangana has from the tribunal, right, set to deal with the issue of Krishna water distribution, right? So these are the 4 articles of the day that we shall be discussing in detail, and finally the remaining 3 topics we already have covered. For example, one is with respect to smart cities mission, the other one is with respect to Hema panel committee report, and the last one is with respect to the 7th topic pertains to the smart cities mission, right? So if you want to cover all the 7 topics, especially the remaining 3 topics, you will find the link in the comments section. So let us get started with the first topic. What is the title? Time to seize the promise of the US-India nuclear deal. In this article, we'll understand what exactly is India-US civil nuclear deal. And then this topic is important for mains under GS paper 2. We have bilateral agreement involving India's interest, right? Now, if you see that in the year 2018, UPSC had asked a question on the growing energy needs, right, and the fears associated with the nuclear energy. Some part of the answer will be covered in today's topic. The highlight or the point is that you need to know the type of question UPSC asks, and that's the reason you need to understand the topic in and out, right? So, a large part of the answer to this question will be addressed in the first topic. What is the context? The context is that it's been almost 20 years. It's been almost 20 years since the time India and the USA had signed civil nuclear deal. No much progress has been made with the deal that was signed in the year 2005. So, we'll discuss the challenges, the opportunities associated with the Indo-US civil nuclear deal. Okay, let us start. So, the India-US civil nuclear deal was signed in the year 2005. It was signed in the year 2005. A historic announcement was made by the Prime Minister of India, Manmohan Singh, and the President of America. The deal, it took 3 years to finalize the details, that is, the clauses, the provisions of the article. It took 3 years to iron out the differences and arrive at a conclusion. So, the deal was finalized in the year 2008. This civil nuclear deal is also referred to as 123 agreement. Now, as per the civil nuclear deal, America, USA has agreed to supply fuel and technology to India. See, what is the objective of this deal? To get or to generate nuclear energy. Please focus and listen to this. It's very, very important. The objective is to generate nuclear energy. Nuclear energy is renewable source of energy. We cannot depend on fossil fuels. Why? Because of the climate change impact, because of the rising greenhouse gas emissions which is impacting the climate. So the solution is to focus on renewable sector like solar energy, wind energy, and then we have nuclear energy as well. But to generate nuclear energy, you need fuel, uranium, you need technology to construct reactor. It is a reactor or it is a nuclear power plant that you need to develop to generate nuclear energy. Now you need fuel. India does not have fuel. India does not have the technology. India does not have the reactor. So USA said, okay, don't worry, we will give you nuclear fuel, nuclear technology, as well as the reprocessing technology. So there are 3 things required. 1, nuclear fuel. Second, nuclear reactor. And third one is enrichment and reprocessing technology, enrichment and reprocessing technology. There are three things required. So USA said, don't worry, we'll give with fuel, reactor and technology. But shift in US policy. What is the shift in US policy? Why is it that USA agreed to sign a deal in the year 2005? Before that, India was requesting to sign a deal, but USA refused. See, what is nuclear fuel? Uranium. India does not have uranium, so India has to import uranium from other countries, right? Now there's a group which is referred by the name Nuclear Supplier Group. What? Nuclear Suppliers Group. Now only the countries who are part of this group can import uranium. Please listen to this very carefully. Only the countries who are part of nuclear supplier group can import uranium. India is not a part of nuclear supplier group. Why? Because to be a part of nuclear supplier group, you need to be a member of NPT. What is NPT? Non-proliferation treaty. Which means by being a part of NPT, every country commits that they will not proliferate nuclear arsenal, that is, they won't make or develop nuclear weapons. India is having nuclear weapons. India says that we will not sign NPT. Why? Because we have risk from Pakistan and China. So we need to keep nuclear weapons ready. And as India has not signed NPT, India is not a member of NSG, which means no country will export uranium to our country. No country will export uranium to our country. So USA finally in the year 2008, United States gave a NSG waiver. What USA said? Okay, fine. If you are not a member of NSG, it's fine. Don't worry. Despite that you are not a member of NSG, we will ensure that you get uranium. And why? Why has USA trusted us? Because of India's strong non-proliferation credentials. Which means the world realizes that the reason why India has kept nuclear weapons is for her safety. India does not intend to develop more and more nuclear weapons. No. India is having nuclear weapons only to ensure her safety. And so USA gave India relaxation. What are the benefits for India? Which means now with the help of this deal, India will get dual use technology. Now this technology, transfer of technology, right, which essentially means that USA will give us technology. Why? To manufacture nuclear reactors, one, and then to reprocess uranium. Now what exactly is reprocessing uranium? See, the naturally occurring uranium, right? In the naturally occurring uranium, there is only 0.7 percentage uranium 235. Now, uranium 235 is a fissile material. Not each and every element of uranium is required or rather is useful for generating nuclear energy. Only 0.7 percentage uranium 235 isotope is useful. Now what we can do is we can increase the concentration of this 0.7 percentage to 3 percentage, and for that we need enrichment technology. We need enrichment technology. So USA said, okay, we will give you this technology. And what if you keep on enriching it further? There is a high probability, or by enriching further, you can also develop nuclear weapons. This is dual use nuclear technology. But USA knows that India won't, make or develop nuclear weapons. And USA or India also committed to the US that the technology that will be giving us, we are not going to share this technology with any other country who is not part of NSC, or who does not have strong non-proliferation credentials. India has committed that they will not, transfer the technology to some other country. This is what India has committed USA. And USA also, or India also said that in order to ensure that the technology America is giving us, we are not repurposing it to develop nuclear weapons. International Atomic Energy Agency. What? International Atomic Energy Agency. This is a nuclear watchdog. It is a nuclear watchdog. We said, okay, this organization can come to our country, can visit India and see if, or rather ensure if we are not diverting the enrichment to develop nuclear weapons. So, this international organization can anytime visit India and check the civilian nuclear facility. I hope you understood the essence of the deal. Now, we'll try to understand the benefits. Once this deal was signed, which means once India got NSG waiver, many countries signed nuclear cooperation deal with the country. For example, we have US, France, Russia, Canada, Argentina, Australia, Sri Lanka, US, Japan, Vietnam, Bangladesh, Kazakhstan and Korea. Which means we signed nuclear deal with almost 20 to 30 countries. Why? Because now USA allowed the countries to export uranium to India. One. Second, recognition and global standing. Finally, the world acknowledged that India is a nuclear weapon state. Finally, the world recognized that India is a nuclear weapon state, which means no one can take India lightly, right? Then third, it also strengthened India and the US relations. Because of the civil nuclear deal that was signed in the year 2005 and 8, this led to strengthening India and the US relationship, which means that the US nuclear deal expanded to other areas, just like defense cooperation, military cooperation, then economic partnership, etc. Then civil nuclear energy expansion, right? Now this deal, right, allowed USA to transfer the technology to help India manufacture nuclear reactor, which means USA said, okay, we will give the technology so that India manufactures nuclear reactor in India. Initially, the USA was about to export nuclear reactors. Now it said that we'll give the technology through which you can manufacture the nuclear reactors in your country. Economic growth, why? It leads to economic growth. Why? Because there will be increased jobs, right? Manufacturing nuclear reactor, which means Indians will get more and more jobs. Now, with nuclear reactors, will be in a position to develop nuclear energy. There will be more energy availability. Now, more energy, this will help the Indian industries as well as the Indian customers like us. Technological advancement, which essentially means that all the advanced cutting edge technology, cutting edge technology, the USA will transfer to our country. These are the benefits of the deal. Then challenges. Now this is something very important. One is the liability concern, the first challenge, that now civil liability for Nuclear Damage Act of 2010. See, the question is, if an accident occurs in the nuclear reactor or nuclear power plant, who will take the responsibility? We all know about the Fukushima disaster in Japan, the Chernobyl disaster in Ukraine. Who will take the responsibility if an accident occurs or there's some mishap? That's the reason this act was signed in the year 2010 in our country. This act says that in case an accident occurs, the financial responsibility, the liability, the ownership responsibility will lie on the supplier. And who is the supplier? The American companies. And who is the operator? India. India is the operator. They are the suppliers. Now, this act actually contradicts global convention. Globally, the responsibility is rested on the shoulders of operator. But now, according to this act, the liability will be on the suppliers. Right? And that's the reason the American companies are hesitant, to, let's say, help India developing, manufacture nuclear reactor or set up a nuclear power plant. Why? Because the American companies say that, let's say tomorrow an accident occurs, why should we bear the responsibility, financial burden? That's the reason the American companies have shown a resistance, hesitant, or they are rather hesitant to, go ahead with the civil nuclear deal. One, right? Second is regulatory and policy hurdles. Now see, America has kept many Indian companies in the entity list, US entity list. Now, what is this US entity list? The companies that are placed in the US entity list, these companies cannot receive technology from America. Let's say there's a deal between American company and Indian company, and XYZ Indian company has been placed under entity list. This company placed under entity list will not receive any technology from USA. Why? Because Americans fear that the company in the entity list can share the technology with an adversary or enemy of America, let's say Russia or let's say North Korea. So this is another hurdle. But however, under the Biden administration, Biden has committed to weed out all the regulatory hurdles. Third, cost and economic viability. Now, the American companies are expected to provide advanced technology to our country. Advanced technology. Why? Now, this technology should also be competitive. This technology should also be competitive, which means if the technology is very costly, then it would not be economically viable to our country. Economically, it won't be viable to our country if the technology is, let's say, very costly. But the question is, or the point is, the American companies like GE and Westinghouse, who manufacture nuclear reactors, especially in the 2008 financial crisis, have suffered great losses, massive losses. So, for these companies, with the presence of this act, it is not possible to collaborate with the Indian companies. Why? Because if an accident occurs, there will be more loss. They already are in losses. And second, two, the technology that they share with the Indian companies should be competitive, which means should not be costly. That's the reason. That is the reason the companies in America are not showing the readiness to move ahead or move with pace, speed with respect to civil nuclear deal. Then insurance mechanism. Now, in order to address this issue, the Indian government proposed a mechanism through public sector insurance companies. India said that okay, fine, we can select a public sector insurance company, and all you have to do is just pay a premium to this insurance company so that in case of an accident, this company will be responsible or will be liable to pay the money to the victims, right? Now shift in India's preferences. See, it was in the year 2005 that we signed the deal for the first time. It's been 20 years, almost 20 years. The deal is still, stuck. It's not moving at pace. And that's the reason the Indian government is exploring different options. For example, the Indian government has entered into an agreement or collaboration with the Russian government to manufacture nuclear reactors. Now, compared to the American government or companies, we have faced very little hindrances or obstacles from the Russian government or the company. That's the reason, given that we see economic viability by entering into an agreement with the American or Russian companies, we are now shifting towards the Russian companies or the Russian government. Next, long timelines for reactor construction. As I told you that as the companies are in losses, right, it is leading to delay in the reactor construction, right? So these are some of the challenges. And what can be the way forward? One, resolving the liability issue. India has already proposed a mechanism through public sector insurance companies that we already have seen. Then accelerating project implementation, which means a timeline has to be set. If we do not fix a timeline, simply India will be at disadvantage. The more you delay the project, the more the cost will increase. That's the reason timelines have to be fixed, and both the companies, that is the Indian company and the American company, should be responsible, should ensure that the project is finished within a particular time. Then enhancing technology transfer. Now, the technology that the American companies who transfer to India should be competitive and relevant. And if they are very expensive, then Indian government would find other partners in Japan, France, or let's say Russia. Next, strengthening institutional framework. Now we have nuclear NPCIL, Nuclear Power Corporation India Limited. This is an institution of a country. Now both the institutions in India and the American or in America, these two institutions should be responsible to facilitate or rather regulate or rather cooperate to ensure, these institutions should cooperate to ensure that all the hurdles or obstacles are taken care of, right? Next, diversifying energy cooperation. Now the cooperation that we have in the nuclear sector can be expanded in the solar and wind sector as well. Geopolitical engagement. Now if India and the USA relationship strengthens, that is if both the countries cooperate in different sectors like nuclear sector, then we have solar, wind, defense, economic partnership. This will bring India and USA close. Now this will help India. Why? Because in India's backdrop, there's an enemy in China. China is threatening India's sovereignty. China is threatening India's maritime borders. That's the reason we need a strong and a massive country like US, a strong country like US who can help India to counter the threats coming from China. And lastly, there has to be public support. Now, through public awareness campaigns, India can actually ensure that the nuclear cooperation, when it comes to safety, is safe enough to continue. We have to win public support because people have a fear that in case an accident occurs, thousands of people will be affected, and the effect will not be only for the time's sake. The effect will be for years to come. There will be generational effects, and so due care has to be taken, and accordingly we have to proceed with the civil nuclear deal. So this is how we can move forward with the civil nuclear deal. I hope you understood the article in its entirety. Right? Any question, feel free to ask in the comment box. The next article, Trump declares end to US citizenship by birth. Citizenship by birth. Now we'll understand the citizenship principles in this particular article. You can map this. This article may seem as it belongs to IR, but no. Here I have explored the constitutional principle and angles with respect to the citizenship in our country. So there's a question asked in the year 2021, just 3 years before, on citizenship. Citizen by birth. That's the reason this topic becomes extremely important for the UPSC examination, right? Now, what is the context? We know that Donald Trump, the new president of America, has signed an executive order, thereby ending birthright citizenship. Now, to understand the concept of birthright citizenship, it is important to understand the principles associated with citizenship, right? And this decision will affect the Indian professionals residing in the state of America. Now, what is citizenship, or how is citizenship defined? One, citizenship is the relationship. It is the relationship between the state and the citizens. Between the state and the citizens, we have state and citizens. The relationship is what we refer to as citizenship. It is how it is defined. Now, India, just like any other modern country, the population is divided in two categories. The population is divided. One, we have the citizens and we have the aliens. Aliens are the foreigners. The foreigners can be legal as well as illegal. Legal as well as illegal. Now, what is the difference between citizens and aliens? Now, when it comes to citizens, citizens of a country enjoy civil and complete civil and political rights. They enjoy complete civil and political rights. This is the difference. The foreigners do not enjoy complete civil and political rights. This is the difference between citizens and foreigners. That is, the citizens enjoy each and every right provided by the Indian government or Indian state. Right? Now, citizenship operates on the principle, it operates on the principles of exclusion, which means only the citizens are granted a set of rights defined by the state in the, let's say, a document as such, like we have the constitution. Right? Now, there are few principles that forms the basis for providing citizenship. Which are these principles? One is jus soli. This is referred to as or pronounced as you, not juice. Jus soli. Jus soli, which means born on the soil. which essentially means that anyone who is born in a country will be getting citizenship. Why? Because that person is born on that land of a particular country. Let's say if a person is born in India, then that person will get Indian citizenship. Now, for example, countries such as America, Canada, Brazil, US, Canada, Brazil, they follow the principle of jus soli. We also follow the principle of jus soli, but not in its entirety. Then this is the first principle, that anyone who is born on a land of a particular country. Second, jus sanguinis, that is through blood, related through blood. That is, citizenship is provided on the basis of nationality or ethnicity Now, India actually follows a mix of jus soli and jus sanguinis. let's say there's a person of Indian origin born abroad, let's say in America, but his parents were born in India. So the basis of jus sanguinis, the person who was born in America can get Indian citizenship. Why? Because his parents are linked to our country. This is jus sanguinis. Now, during the Constituent Assembly debates, the Constituent Assembly referred or rejected the principle of jus sanguinis. Why? Because the Constituent Assembly felt that this principle contradicts Indian values. Why? Because the Constituent Assembly felt that this principle, it promotes racism, and that's the reason it is sort of discriminatory. That's the reason we rejected this principle and followed this principle. But as of date, we follow both the principles. Then we have dual citizenship, which means a person can be citizenship of both the countries. Now, in India, there is no such concept. In India, there is only single citizenship. For example, countries such as Canada, UK, France, they follow the concept of dual citizenship. Third, next, naturalization, which involves that you need to meet specific requirements. For example, let's say a person not related to a country. If he stays in India for, let's say, 10 years, he'll be given Indian citizenship. This is a naturalization process. Then citizenship by marriage. Let's say a person from France marries an Indian person. So this person from France can acquire Indian citizenship. Why? Because a person from France has married an Indian citizen. So this is another principle. Citizenship by investment. Now, if you invest, let's say there's a country or island, Antigua and Barbados. If you invest a certain amount in the country, you can acquire the citizenship of that country. This principle. Honorary citizenship. Let's say if you have contributed in a discipline, let's say it can be arts, science, humanities, sports. Let's say Roger Federer wants to acquire Indian citizenship. Now, based on his contribution in the field of, let's say, sports, Indian government can give him Indian citizenship, honorary citizenship. These are the global principles of citizenship. Now, let us talk about the constitutional provisions. Now, we'll talk about the constitutional provisions of citizenship in India. First and foremost, right, the chapter citizenship falls in the union list in the 7th schedule, which means only the parliament, the union government, the parliament can frame laws with respect to citizenship. the state governments do not have the flexibility, permission to make laws on citizenship. Only the parliament can frame laws. Articles 5 to Articles 11 pertain to the citizenship chapter or provisions related to citizenship. Article 5 to Article 11. Right? Now these are the principles. Article will understand all these principles. What does Article 5 state? Article 5 states that citizenship can be given to a person who is domiciled or born in our country. Who is born in our country, will give him citizenship. Domiciled, not born in our country but has stayed in India for, let's say, XYZ years, or let's say a person who is staying in India but born in some other country can be given if either of his parents are Indian citizenship. Let's say a person is born in, let's say, France, but either of his parents were born in India, so can be given citizenship by Article 5. Then we have Article 6. Now this provides citizenship to people who migrated from Pakistan to India. Pakistan to India before 1949, July 1949. So post partition, right, the majority of the Hindus migrated to India. So anyone who came to India before 1949 will be given Indian citizenship as per clause Article 6. As per Article 6, right? And those who arrive after this date can acquire citizenship through registration. What? We'll understand this concept of registration. Okay? Not now, in the next slide. So Article 6 clear, people who migrated from Pakistan to India, right? Next, Article 7 pertains to providing citizenship to people who migrated to Pakistan after independence, who migrated to Pakistan but later on returned to India. So India to Pakistan, Pakistan to India, India to Pakistan, Pakistan to India. So it's India to Pakistan, Pakistan to India, right? They can be given citizenship under the resettlement permit. So what the Indian government say, it can, I mean, people can make mistakes, right? So people who thought, like, let's say for the Indian Muslims who thought that, okay, post independence our life will be better protected in Pakistan, they migrated to Pakistan. But what they realize is that the Muslims who migrated from India to Pakistan were treated as mujahirs, travelers, wanderers. They were not given the same treatment, so they returned back to India. And Indian government issued resettlement permits for people who migrated from Pakistan to India. Article 7. Article 8. Article 8 provides citizenship to an Indian origin person. Indian origin, a person born on a foreign land, can be given citizenship when, if either of his parents are born in India. Article 8. Article 9. What is Article 9? Article 9 states that anyone who acquires citizenship of foreign country, let's say a person has Indian citizenship, now he's acquiring the citizenship of, let's say, Germany, which means automatically his citizenship of India will be cancelled out. Why? Because India does not have the concept of dual citizenship. Then we have Article 10. Article 10 says that all the promises made from Article 5 and Article 9, all the promises made from Article 5 to Article 9 will remain so. This article promises that whatever is mentioned in Article 5 to Article 9 will stay. It gives a guarantee to the people promised citizenship or given citizenship from Article 5 to Article 9. And then we have Article 11. Article 11, it empowers the parliament of a country to frame laws with respect to citizenship. only the parliament can frame laws with respect to citizenship. The state governments, the legislative assembly cannot frame laws. These are article 5 to article 11. Now, Indian citizenship can be acquired via 4 means, which essentially means that there is a principal act. The Citizenship Act of 1955. This is a principal act. This act, it governs the acquisition and termination, acquisition acquiring, termination cancelling out citizenship. For example, there are 4 ways through which you can acquire citizenship. One, by birth, which means those who are born in a country will get citizenship. Second, registration. Now here registration, let's say for example, you have to meet specific requirements. Meeting specific requirements. For example, you have to marry an Indian person, Indian citizen. You have to stay in India for 7 years. For 7 years. Descent. Now, descent is the person who is granted citizenship on the basis of blood relation. For example, let's say a person born abroad can be given citizenship. Why? Because he is related to India by blood, which means either of his parents or grandparents were born in India. Descent. And naturalization, a person who is not connected to India in any means. Let's say Adnan Sami, or let's say a common employee. Now, if he wants to acquire Indian citizenship, he has to stay in India for 12 years. He has to stay in India for 12 years. Only then he will be granted Indian citizenship. These are the ways through which citizenship can be granted. So, these are the things that you need to know. Now, there have been many amendments. See, now the citizenship topic, it rises to prominence when, especially with respect to illegal migration. Now, especially the illegal people who entered India illegally have misused these citizenship provisions. For example, an illegal person, right, marrying an Indian citizen and producing children. This illegal citizen becomes an Indian citizen now. Why? Because she has married an Indian citizen. So many illegal people have misused the citizenship provisions. As a reason, we have made many amendments. But the most important amendment was made in the year 2019. I hope you all must have heard, right? This 2019 Citizenship Amendment Act, which was in the news. Why? Because in the entire country, there were protests after protests against the CAA 2019. Many celebrities hit the streets to criticize this particular act. So this act says that people of, let's say, Hindus, Buddhists, Jains, Sikhs, Christians and Parsis, people belonging to these religions from 3 countries, Bangladesh, Pakistan and Afghanistan. People belonging to these 6 religions from these 3 countries, if they enter India before 2014, then we will give you Indian citizenship. This is what this act said. But the question is, the people who criticize this act criticizes for the fact that this act was framed on the basis of the religion. The questions are, why didn't you include Muslims? Why you ignored Muslims? Why did you focus only on these 3 countries? Why didn't you focus our neighboring countries like Sri Lanka, Bhutan, Nepal, Myanmar? So it was highly criticized. Now coming back to the context or coming back to the news, I hope you understood what is birthright citizenship, jus soli principle. Now, the reason why Trump ended birthright citizenship is because people, especially from Mexico, Mexico is on the south of America, people started misusing the provisions of this principle in the American Constitution. It is mentioned in the 14th Amendment. It is mentioned in the 14th Amendment in the USA Constitution. It says that anyone who is jus soli, anyone who is born in America will be granted American citizenship. So what people used to do is they used to enter USA illegally, right, and then they used to deliver the baby. Now the American Constitution says that the child is born in India, and to take care of that child, the parent should also be given American citizenship, which means the law was being misused. That's the reason the Trump administration has ended the birthright citizenship. Now the Indian professionals, right? 1% of the American population constitutes the Indian people. Now, if let's say an Indian couple living in the America or living in the American state gives birth to a child, now that child cannot be given American citizenship. This is a concern among the Indian professionals. This is the topic about. I hope you understood the topic. Now let us focus on the third topic. The question is, why has America withdrawn from WHO and the Paris Agreement? This is the topic. We'll understand both WHO and Paris Agreement. You can map this under prelims as well as means. Means we have GS paper 2 international relations, that is important international agreements. And this was a question asked on the Paris Agreement in the year 2016, right? Now, what is the context? That on the 21st or rather 20th of Jan, the Trump, President of America, declared that America is going to withdraw its membership from USA, will be withdrawing its membership from WHO and Paris Agreement. So you'll understand what is WHO, what is Paris Agreement, and then the reason why America decided to withdraw from WHO and Paris Agreement. One, what is WHO? It was founded in the year 1948. It is one of the specialized body of the United Nations. Headquarters Geneva, which is in Switzerland. Membership, there are 194 member states, right? Structure, intergovernmental organization, which means the governments of countries, they cooperate when it comes to the matters of health. Functions. So what are the functions of WHO? The WHO ensures that the entire world is healthy. It essentially means that, let's say, to report the outbreak of diseases, to keep a watch on the diseases in different countries. Because of globalization, people travel from one country to another country. So there's a high chance that the disease spreads from one country to another country. Right? Then to raise awareness campaigns with respect to quit smoking, quit tobacco, right? Then regular exercising. It also ensures that the poor countries are receiving access to healthcare, medicines. In short, it ensures that the entire world is healthy. Now the membership is available to all the countries who are members of United Nations. Then now this World Health Assembly, right, is the decision making authority. For example, India is a country, and who makes the decisions? The parliament. WHO, who takes the decisions? World Health Assembly. It is attended by all the 194 countries who are members of WHO, right? What are the functions? We discussed what are the functions. The policies framed to, let's say, deal with the health issues, let's say COVID-19 pandemic, right? And then it is managed by the Director General, which means the day-to-day functions, of WHO are held in Secretariat, right? Now, Secretariat is managed by Director General. Director General is appointed by the General Assembly. So, all these points are important for your prelims examination. Make sure you remember each and every point. Now, why did the US withdraw from the WHO? One, the Trump administration believes that the WHO did not or delay the announcement of COVID-19 pandemic. Because of the pressure from the Chinese, they delayed the announcement of COVID-19 or coronavirus. At the same time, the data that should be provided to the entire world, the WHO delayed in providing the data, which means the WHO is biased, is not transparent. Lack of reforms, which means the functioning of WHO is not transparent. It is resisting change. It is following status quo. There's political influence of countries like China. And then America believes that, or America is the biggest contributor to WHO. Now, America believes that the benefits America should get is not in proportion to what it donates or funds WHO. And that's the reason the Trump administration is withdrawing or has declared that America is going to withdraw from WHO. Now the second one, Paris Agreement. What is Paris Agreement? We know that they are increasing greenhouse gas emissions, the vehicular emission, the industry emissions, the AC emissions, the coal, you burn coal, you burn oil, the emissions that are released, it is all impacting our climate. It is all increasing the temperature. That's the reason the countries came together in the year 2015 under UNFCCC, United Nations Framework for Convention Climate Change, Convention on Climate Change. They came together to sign Paris Agreement. What is the objective? To combat climate change, to fight climate change and limit the global warming to well below 2 degree above pre-industrial levels, which means, let's say, industrial levels, which means industrial revolution, that is the 1800s. Let's say if the global average temperature before industrial revolution, global average temperature, the average is determined based on the temperature on the land and the water across the earth. The global average temperature was around 14 degrees Celsius before industrial revolution. Now, the objective is to ensure that it does not increase more than 2 degrees Celsius above the pre-industrial levels, that is industrial level, which means it should not exceed 16 degrees Celsius. This is the maximum which we should not exceed, but our ambition should be to limit to 1.5 degrees Celsius, that is 15.5 degrees Celsius. This is the objective. And this Paris Agreement, it replaced the Kyoto. It replaced Kyoto Protocol. Again, a very important point for your prelims. As of now, 196 countries have, you know, uh, signed the Paris Agreement, right? Now, long-term goal. What is the long-term goal? The long-term goal is to reach net zero emissions, which means the amount of carbon emissions that we are releasing, we have to compensate by sequestering, that is capturing the emission that we release, let's say by planting more number of trees and plants. So the target is to reach net zero emissions. Now, how are we going to achieve to this number, net zero emissions? Now, all the countries are going to fund. What is the name of the fund? Green climate. So all the 196 countries will establish a green climate fund. All the countries can donate in this particular fund. The objective is to reach 100 billion by 2020. But so far we have failed to achieve this number. Why? Now see here, as per the Paris Agreement, the responsibility rested on the shoulders of developed countries. Why developed countries? Because the developed countries have emitted more emissions. Because of the industries that they have in their countries, it resulted into larger emissions in their countries. So as the Western countries or the developed countries are responsible for the climate change, they should be responsible to mitigate the impact of climate change. How? They can fund the developing countries like India, so that India can shift from non-renewable sources of energy, that is coal, to renewable sources of energy like the nuclear energy, solar energy, wind energy, hydro energy. Now again, the question is, why has America withdrawn? Because America feels that the burden on America is unfair. Why should the developed countries take the responsibility? Another problem the Trump administration has is that China has been placed under the developing countries, which means now when it comes to developed countries, the industries in the developed countries are put under strict regulations, which means the industries in the developed countries, right, cannot emit emissions, or for that matter, the non-renewable sources of energy related industries cannot, or the developed countries cannot resort to non-renewable source of energy, which means they simply cannot burn coal, cannot burn oil, which means they have to produce or generate energy through non-renewable source of energy. Now because of this, the industries who were into the business of generating energy using non-renewable sources were facing losses. Look, if the companies are facing losses, they had to remove people, and it led to job crunch in the American market. And Trump has a problem. Trump says that America is a developed country. It is the second richest country in the world. Why is it that China is placed in the developing country bracket? Now, as the regulations are less strict in China, the products in China are competitive as compared to America. That's the reason, be it supply chain or the products that are manufactured in China have global competitiveness, or they have competitive advantage vis-a-vis USA. That's the reason America has withdrawn from this particular deal. Now the last article, Telangana state reiterates demands for higher share in Krishna waters. Andhra Pradesh wants status quo. That is what it is, should remain. So we'll understand about the Krishna water dispute, again important for prelims as well as means. So this was a question asked in the year 2013 with respect to interstate water disputes. Sure. What is the context? The Telangana state wants that they want to use more water from the Krishna river basin. Krishna river. They want Telangana. Who? Telangana demands usage of 71% from the Krishna river basin. Krishna river is a dispute between Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. Unless the decision is arrived or the issue is resolved, Telangana at least demands 50% of the water from the Krishna river basin. And as of now, Andhra Pradesh uses 60% and Telangana uses 40%. This is the context. We'll understand first about the Krishna river. Now, Krishna river, it is one of the longest rivers in our country, right? And it origins from where? Maharashtra near Mahabaleshwar. And then flows through Karnataka, Telangana, Andhra Pradesh. So, you need to remember the states that the river flows from and then it empties into the Bay of Bengal. So, all these points are important. The length is not important, this one is not important, but the tributaries are very important. So, the tributaries, you also need to remember the left tributaries as well as the right tributaries. So, Tungabhadra, Koyna, Ghataprabha, Malaprabha, Bhima, Musi rivers are the tributaries of Krishna river. So, please remember the tributaries of Krishna river. Now, what is the conflict? Now, the conflict arose why? Because Andhra Pradesh or the Andhra Pradesh state was bifurcated into two states, Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. Now, Telangana advocates for 71% share of Krishna water, right? Why? Why? Because the catchment area when it comes to the catchment area of Krishna river in Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, the catchment area in Telangana is more than in Andhra Pradesh. So, the presence of Krishna water in Telangana is more than in Andhra Pradesh. So, Telangana wants that their demand of 71% should be met. As of now, 66% of the water is used by Andhra Pradesh and 34% is used by Telangana. Now, we have the Krishna River Management Board. We'll discuss about the tribunal. As of now, the issue is looked after by the Krishna Water Dispute Tribunal. So, we'll understand more about the board and tribunal in the next slide. This tribunal will finally decide how much water the state of Telangana should get and how much water the state of Andhra Pradesh should get. Now, what is Article 262? Article 262 allows the parliament, very important, it allows the parliament to adjudicate the interstate water dispute. Interstate water dispute, that is the river passing from more than one state. It allows the parliament to decide, to take a decision, and this article excludes the court's jurisdiction, which means the courts cannot have a say when it comes to interstate water disputes. The courts cannot exercise their authority when it comes to interstate water disputes. Only the parliament can make a law to decide or resolve an issue with respect to interstate water dispute. Now, the parliament in the year 1956 enacted Interstate Water Dispute Act. What? Interstate Water Dispute Act. Now, through this act, right, in pursuance of this act, right, the parliament created tribunals. Tribunals are nothing, or they just function like the courts. This act facilitated the establishment of tribunals. Why? To decide issues with respect to interstate water disputes. To decide issues with respect to interstate water disputes. And the decisions of the tribunal, of the tribunal, they are binding in nature. What? They are binding in nature. Binding. You cannot challenge the decision of a tribunal. So in the previous slide, we discussed the Krishna Water Dispute Tribunal. The tribunal was established via this act. So please remember this act. And who framed this act? Parliament via Article 262. Now, state and union powers. See, when it comes to uh, interstate water disputes, interstate water dispute is kept in the entry 56 of union list, which means when it comes to the water flowing from one state to other state, only the parliament can frame a law to decide or rather resolve the dispute with respect to interstate water dispute. The state government cannot make a law, right, to establish a tribunal to resolve the cases with respect to interstate water dispute. And then in the same year, the parliament also enacted River Boards Act. So this Krishna River Management Board, Krishna River Dispute Tribunal. So Krishna River Water Tribunal and Krishna River Management Board. So this board was established via this act and tribunal was established under this act. Now this board was established why? To oversee the planning with respect to the usage of Krishna water and then judicial role. So what we discussed in Article 262 is the courts are barred from exercising their jurisdiction with respect to interstate water dispute. But then under Article 131, it gives Supreme Court of India the power of original jurisdiction. Now this Article 131 states that if there is an issue between, let's say, the parliament and one state or more states, or when there is an issue between different states, the matter can be taken up in the Supreme Court. Which means, though this Article 262 prevents the exercise of the court's jurisdiction with respect to interstate water disputes, however, under Article 131, under original jurisdiction of Supreme Court, the Supreme Court can take up the cases with respect to interstate water disputes. This is all about the article. I hope you understood each and every dimension. Now, let us discuss few practice questions. First, discuss the opportunities and challenges posed by the US-India civil nuclear deal in transforming India's energy and strategic landscape. Suggest a way forward to address the hurdles. Now, in the introduction, what you do is you just highlight the importance of the deal. So, the deal was signed in the year 2005, finalized in the year 2008. The objective is to transfer nuclear fuel and technology to our country. Then in the body of the answer, highlight first the opportunities, the benefits, challenges, and finally the way forward. We have discussed each and every point. So I want you to please download the DNA link provided in the comment section. Please download or visit the website and you can read the entire answer, the detailed answer in the DNA link, in the DNA PDF file. So the link is available in the comment section. Then now these are the questions from today's DNA topics 1, 2 and 3. Right, so I want you to please attempt the questions. Right, the link is available in the comment section. Open the link, the DNA quiz link. Open the DNA quiz link, attempt the questions and I want you to respond. Attempt the questions and post your score in the comment section. I want to see the score that you people get, right? So make sure that you are practicing the DNA questions. I hope you understood all the articles, right? So before we wind up, I request you to please hit the like, subscribe icon. Thank you so much for watching.